viewers, welcome to Exodus Talk. My name remains Akiyemi Matthew, aka Akin the Talkative. This week we shall be bringing to you the concluding part of the Nigeria We See Today Series 1. Of course, I know you enjoyed the last series of the Nigeria We See Today, and then this is the continuing aspect of that series. I believe you also have a great time with us at Exodus Talk. If you are just joining us, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Exodus_Talk, and our Facebook page is Exodus Talk. You can always send us email at exodustalktv@gmail.com for reviews. Opinions and suggestions are always welcome. Thank you for being with us. Enjoy the conversation.
Mr. Alfred, you were saying something about the leaders of Nigeria being older than Nigeria, and I'm like, is there any sort of allegory, or are you being figurative? Because I know you are a figurative man. So what are you trying to imply when you say the leaders are older than the nation?
Yes, I told you that was some kind of comedy that one of my favorite comedians dropped.
Okay.
One of those days, and it caught my attention. Apart from the fact that I laughed and laughed and laughed, I couldn't just stop myself laughing. I had to think deeply about it and actually realize that the guy was correct. For instance,
okay,
what is the age of Nigeria? Nigeria is just around 60-something years.
Okay.
What is the age of our president? Nigeria is
61.
That is it. So the age of our current incumbent president is obviously older than the nation itself.
But you never agree, because they keep changing their...
Oh, we don't expect him to agree in the first place. This is the kind of politics we have been unfortunate to see in our own environment.
For saying he will not agree, Mr. Alfred. I know truly he won't agree, definitely, but he tells the self-worth of our leaders, if they actually have any self-worth.
That is what we should be talking about. Do they bother about self-worth? That's the issue. When you talk about self-image, is that actually the concern of our politicians? Because what I see in Nigerian politics so far, unfortunately, is money politics, family politics, stomach politics. I beg to be sarcastic with Ayo Elliot Irabor's program one time, which he called stomach infrastructure. Because I couldn't stop laughing. Although that was a good program, but that name was so funny to me that I had to read some other meanings, which of course might be different from what he actually meant.
No, Mr. Alfred, that's a very a big statement. No, it tells the length and the eyes in which the leaders look at the average Nigerian. And the worst part is that many Nigerians, they kick against such. It might be a good program or anything, but the name itself, it gives that kind of this begging mentality, and it's really evil, if I may say that.
That is what we shouldn't really bother about, I think, because Nigerians have a lot to think about, my brother. Nigerians have a whole lot to deal with. So much that we shouldn't. I don't think we should give much time to names or titles like my dear Ayo Elliot Irabor once tagged his program. You understand? So, but the implication that I found in the comedian's joke was that it's allegorical actually, but the fact seems to be very huge and very clear on ground that our leaders don't seem to have respect for the nation. How could you, for instance, come in and declare some certain assets. You have this, you have this, you have this, you have this. At the end of the day or sometime into your tenure, we begin to find out that what you said wasn't actually correct. Or you approach a political position with some certificate, and sometime into your tenure, after you must have gained the heart of the masses, after you must have got in there based on what the Constitution says, we come to find out that the certificate you presented before the nation wasn't correct.
Who's to be held responsible for that?
The people that should bear the responsibility is, number one, the person who lied.
Okay.
Then from there, we drag it down to the society. Because the problem is, you see, somebody was... What?
Sorry, Mr. Alfred. I just want to say this. Do Nigerians have value for politics? How do they value politics? It's because with what you're painting is killing. It's a malady to me, and I'm really at this stage confused. Perhaps I should just give you the platform to talk what you want to say, because I'm really I'm not in the mood to laugh over this, because it's really killing. It's killing. I'm telling you.
We have been trained to laugh in the face of pains.
That's one of the mistakes we are making as Nigerians.
What do? Should we have to kill ourselves over somebody's misbehavior? We shouldn't. I don't think it's something that we have to kill ourselves over. Now, you're a human being. I am a human being. If you know the right thing, at least I think you believe you know the right thing. Now, if you go ahead to do the wrong thing, what do you expect me to do? To start killing myself? To start crying over your own mistakes?
You should me accountable for it, because I'm your leader.
Will you allow me to hold you accountable? That is the question.
And that's what we are saying now, that something needs to be done. For example, I think before they could act like that, there must be something backing them up, and that's the Constitution. And I wouldn't want us to discuss that, because the Nigeria Constitution is something that I tag a fraud, and I don't want us to discuss that.
That is exactly what we are saying, that the leaders, or let me say the politicians, let me not use the word leaders.
Exactly.
The politicians that we have that are at the helm of the affairs of this country are biologically older than the nation, and therefore take it to this extent of being socially unaccountable to the nation itself. Now, you are talking about Constitution. Constitution, in the ideal sense, is supposed to be the nation itself.
Exactly.
That is the nation on the book.
Exactly.
Now,
and that's according to Hobbes' definition.
that is his perspective, which I think is just the normal and natural perspective of what Constitution is supposed to be.
Okay.
Now, if you don't have respect for the nation, what would our Constitution mean to you? Now, for instance, we've had some politicians in this country who, despite the fact that the Constitution says you can't go more than 2 times, a good number of these, some of them got there and decided to amend the Constitution. Now, if you have respect for the nation, why would you tamper with the nation on the book?
Should that be a rhetorical question?
Yes. Anyway, I am asking you.
Okay.
I am asking you, and then asking my dear politicians out there. You understand? This is a question that, because I believe that sometimes you might also wish to go in there. Our audience, our listeners, might also wish to go in there. So before we really move out there, before we think of going there to seek power, I think it's a question that we need to answer. Do I really have respect for the nation?
You can't. I thank you. We really can't get to being respectful or respecting the nation without, I believe it has to do with self. You have to give yourself respect, and the way you give yourself respect is your words. You have to fulfill what you must be held accountable by your words, and with your words, and for your words. I use three different terms there. I don't go into that. But when I don't have that self-image and my words don't tally with myself, then it means I don't have respect for myself. And since I don't have respect for myself, how do I have respect for the nation that I want to decide over?
No one gives what he or she doesn't have.
Exactly. Exactly.
You understand? So that was why I mentioned money politics the other time, and stomach politics, if I might coin my own jargon.
Are you saying that this stomach infrastructure policy is one of the things, in fact, the major thing they use in getting to the masses, and remaining at the ends of affairs, despite knowing they are not capable?
You are naive. And I believe the viewers out there, the masses, the ordinary Nigerian, who have been observant of the political terrain, know that this has been the strategy. Otherwise, how would a politician have to wait before few days, for a few days before the election, before he starts sharing cost of rice? Is that not ridiculous?
And why can't we reject it?
That is, you might be able to reject it because you might not be as hungry as the people that the rice or whatever it is has been presented to.
Right.
You might be able to reject it, but can the hungry man be able to reject it? That is the issue.
You're right.
You understand?
You're right.
So why would the politician, why would he have to wait few days before he remembers, suddenly my people, he suddenly realizes, my people are hungry. I need to give them rice, I need to give them vegetable oil, I need to give them 5,000 naira. If he is not aware that these people are hungry, so he wants to feed their stomach, he wants to take care of their stomach infrastructure, so that he will make them happy enough to give him the opportunity to feed his own stomach.
And that is one of the reasons we keep having underdevelopment in all of these governments we have had over the past 61 years. Because it's sort of a game they are playing. They know. So they know that let us keep them underdeveloped.
We are the ones who don't seem to know. They know what they're doing. And the politicians are fully aware of what they're doing.
Should we allow them be? Because we're talking about youth taking their places or their place, as it were. And we talk about the endsars October 20th, 2020, if I have it correct.
Endsars
okay. Talking about the painting of a new Nigeria, watered by the innocent blood. And then the question is, are we fully ready for this? Because I was discussing with you some other time here at the studio on a recent research that I stumbled on, and I also was part of those people that did that. And it baffled me that you only have 20% of the youth of Nigeria in their perspective sense willing, and when I mean the perspective sense, I have to put it in quote, perspective sense, which could, by information, that they are ready mentally, they are ready socially, and they are ready psychologically. Okay, 20%. And then we have, what about the 80s? And then it don't mean that until we have the higher, at least 50 or 60%, then I can say we are making progress. But do I say 20% is a progress in this modern age?
You see, it's quite funny from my own view. It's quite funny that Nigerians have been clamoring for the youths to take over the helms of the helm of affairs or the leadership positions in this country. But you see, my brother, age doesn't seem to be the problem here.
Okay.
My question has always been, when you talk about youth taking over the government, the youth, where is the youth coming from? Is the youth going to drop from the moon? This is the youth who was born in the system, who has grown in the system, whose mind has been immersed in the system. Don't be surprised. It will be a shocker that if we have this set of youths we are clamoring for at the heads of affairs, the situation might be worse.
I can't oppose that. I can't oppose that.
That is it. Now, okay. For instance, I don't want to mention names, but there have been a good number of youths, a good number of youths in political positions.
Yeah.
One of them is even a governor, and he's still a governor till today.
Yeah. And he hasn't even done a bit of good.
And you see, when the guy got in there, we're like, wow, we now have a youth governor. The guy has spent more than 6 years as the governor of this particular state. But what do we see? Have we seen any change? So you see, it is not a matter of the biological age of the person we are voting for. It is actually what concerns me most is his age at heart, his psychological composition. That is actually the issue. How exposed is this person? How sincere is this person? What is this person's moral upbringing? So when we talk about age, I just sometimes I just say
how many youth can you probably point out now? Like based on that statistic that I gave, you can see that the moralness of the youth nowadays is becoming something else. I think that would be another topic, because the society, Nigerian society, is molding its people, the Nigerians, into what the leaders want them to be. And since they are molding it, I think they call that something. I read it in a book. Something that has to do with something law. You give a problem, and then you look at the fearfulness, the worrisome of the people. Once they are so tense, what you do, you also provide the solution. So they have no option than to embrace that, because they are afraid first. So which means that it's a type of a kind of a system where the earth probably meet at night or anytime they want to meet, and then they just deliberate on something, and then they program the society and actualize and customize a kind of make the youth or the Nigerian people behave in such a way, and before you know it, they keep because you are behaving in a way they want you to behave. You can't challenge them, and you can't see anything wrong in them. And should you see anything wrong in them and you want to challenge them, they come after you. I have so many youth that have fled this country as a result of this thing.
The question is, for you to even get there, will you possibly, how many of the youth can actually get there walking on their own legs?
That's what we're saying.
And now tell me, can you really bite the finger that fits you? In Nigerian politics, it might be possible somewhere else, but in Nigerian politics, it is not possible. For instance, now, I once made mention of the 25-year-old young man who was made the national youth leader of the opposition party, the PDP.
Yes.
And when I read that news, I was so excited. But along the line, I got to discover that he
For some
had
religious
he had some strong backup.
Yes.
He had some strong backup. Now tell me, even if that young man has something serious to deliver, do you think he would not want to be, he would not want to dance to the beat of the leg that threw him up there?
Abode didn't succumb to Bola Tinubu.
And where is it today?
Well,
where is it today politically? Would you want to be? No. Let's be realistic, my brother. Let's be realistic.
And you have Obaseki not wanting to play toddler to Shomole.
And if you ask me, the two sets of politicians, their cases don't seem to be exactly the same. Now,
right.
Now, if you ask me, I'll tell you that Obaseki seems to be fighting really strong against the incumbents.
Sorry, let me just a bit digress from this. It's a series, and despite this being the concluding part of series 1, Nigeria issue you can't exhaust it, so we keep discussing.
It's as big as Nigeria itself.
For instance, you see the recent collapse building, the 21?
No, 21 story building.
And then you read everything you see there on the newspaper. You hear the one there, the social media. You tend to see that what we sort of have. Thank God you read. Look back in anger. You see the character of Jimmy, afraid of this society, angry at the society.
My fear is for this nation not to get to its level where we have to collapse, like the Ikoyi building. That's my fear.
But one of the prominent politicians we have, Honorable Bayabon, has said that Nigeria is sitting on a gun of gunpowder. So it's something. And the truth, the earlier we realize this, see, the earlier we know the truth, and the earlier we know that, things are not going on well, and things could deteriorate to something else. It's hard to feed in this country that we are in now. Okay, just recently you have someone complaining to me, he pays 150 as rent, and then brought in, the landlord increased it to 250, just from 150 to 250.
Just imagine
as he going to get that from.
Just imagine that.
He can't protest. Who is he? And then,
he'll be kicked out. Protest to who?
You look at that.
Who are you going to protest?
You look at that. To buy. I mean, it's a whole lot of things. I don't want us to take it. I want us to take it gradually, like for just 5 or 10 minutes or thereabout. Okay, just quickly. Let's digress it a bit now, so it's not look as if we are just compounding these problems that we already know exist. We're going to be looking at the problem. Let's take it from the grassroots, the local government. Let's look at the local government. From the local government, we go straight to the state government. From the state government to the federal. Let's start with the state government. And now, based on your local government, how do you assess your local government based on the street, the community street, the street road? You talk about the community schools, and then you talk about the primary health center, because I know these are primary aspects of the local government to tackle and to handle. How fair can you call them? Because these same people are the ones vying for the position, vying to be in the legislature house, and then you begin to imagine how do you score them? You all start with your local government before I talk back.
We are living.
You like using the word you are living, even though you are dying, you are living. Well, death itself is a sort of life.
That is the type of life we have been made to live in Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian. So what do you expect me to say? We are living. We are living from my own local government. Anyway, the good roads are the bad roads are still there.
Okay. and then you can't move your car peacefully. You keep repairing your tire every 2 days.
I can remember jumping like a frog one of those fateful days when it rained heavily.
That's it.
In fact, the front of my house was completely covered by flood. Now, what would I do? Would I have to stay? Would I have to stay back in my house and die of hunger?
You don't have to stay.
No flood.
From that flood.
But your house was, the other day your house was flooded.
Okay.
The front of your house was flooded.
Okay.
Then we have to.
So, like one of those fateful days, it rained heavily.
Okay.
I had to, the front of my house was completely flooded. Now, would I have to sit back in my house and die of hunger?
No.
No, boy.
You could get a canoe. You could go get a canoe.
I had to roll up my trousers.
Okay.
You would have seen me, sir, after jumping like a frog. You know, it made me to remember those days, those primary school days. I jumped like a frog. Jumped like a frog.
You didn't do it for free now. You learned it and then you are displaying it at your old age now. Do I say you are old?
That's a bad exercise, my brother.
Okay.
I didn't do it willingly.
Okay. Okay, the roads are nothing to write over. But if I were local government, my brother, look at the street. I mean, even the bike man, you have to stay on the bike and then you keep dancing the reggae kind of dance on the bike, and then you have the car is another thing. We might not have the money to go get a Jeep. The little ones you can get, you keep going to the mechanic, and when you look at the amount you're spending for every 2 days to try to put the tire of your car in order, you begin to imagine, is it worth buying a car in this present with this present?
You see, I'm not actually condemning the local government chairman or their councillors, because I'm not trying to generalize that they're all bad. A good number of them have strong and alive consciences, you know. But what I'm trying to bring in clearly here is that our politicians have found it very impossible not to dance to the tune of the person who allowed them, let me use that word allow, who allowed them that privilege of being the local government chairman or the ward councillor.
Okay.
You know, it's the kind of politics we have been experiencing in this nation. You cut your cake and you remember to keep mine for me, and we see behind camera.
Party government.
It's now you are talking. That is the kind of government we see. So I won't blame them, because should the person, like one movie I watched, the man called it playing ball. So should the person refuse to play ball, he'll be kicked out of the pitch.
And even indicted.
And he will, you know, that might just be the end of his political career, simply because he wanted to be honest. You understand? So you mentioned Obaseki and
don't let's go there. I don't want us to leave the local government angle, and also that issue is it's a pending one. Let me put it a pending one.
It's all right. It's all right. It's just that it's somehow connected to what I wanted to say. But like you said, I think we should let it be a talk for another day.
Okay, the community schools, how are they? You're a writer and then you're an educationist as well.
Yes, I am.
You go to schools and God's willing, I said God's willing, sorry for that. You've been taught before.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, manage schools.
Yes.
And now you even consult for schools.
By God.
And now, looking at the community school, how do you rate them? Are you sure the environment itself is conducive? Not to talk of quality teachers handling them. I'm talking about the community school here now, the one in our local government.
Now that you made mention of community schools, there was this video that went viral where pupils were having their morning assembly in the flood.
The pool of flood.
The pool of flood in their school compound. Although the authorities eventually came out to say, that was a video of a private school. I wouldn't know. Is
that private school not registered?
I wouldn't know.
Were they not official assigned to going there and seeing how that place?
Because I was wondering. You see, the fact remains that the private schools are obviously, to a very large extent, better managed than the public schools.
I'm in support of that.
So for I don't think a private school owner will allow his pupil to experience that type of horror.
That's dehumanizing.
So but all the same, I have to agree. I have to agree. What do we do?
You know, the Lagos State is so very sweet in trying to excuse our failure in words.
And they do succeed anyway.
They succeed, and because we have the percentage of gullible Nigerians is killing. It's really killing.
It's actually a general thing.
The society is responsible.
We are still very far. We are still very far from leadership.
I think society is responsible for Nigerians to think that way. Mr. Alfred, is there anything educating programs you have? A government we prefer to fund a big brother Nigeria. A government will prefer to fund Montina dancehall. A government will prefer to fund dancing and all those things, which I don't see as bad. But if you are funding a dancing show, please add educating things there. Okay, why can't the government come out and put Calpedia into a global thing, pump money into that, and see how many mathematicians you're raising? What about debate? We used to go to junior debate way back in 98. Where is it now? We don't have it again. And at the local government level, nothing is even working, nothing of such.
You are even going too far. You see, before we actually start holding the government responsible for the level of attention that the educational sector receives,
at the community level,
I think we should first and foremost hold one another responsible. Now, you are even talking about debate. What of, for instance, the show which we knew as Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Okay, I heard that's been restored.
It has been restored. I can't really wait. I can't really wait to see it again. You see, to the best of my knowledge,
I have one of the many contestants that have sat on the hot seat. Okay. I'm looking forward to interviewing one of them.
That would be a great idea.
I have a contact with him. It's a working encyclopedia.
We have thoughts here.
And I'm waiting. And the worst is that this young man ought to be at the forward of the university lecturing, and he's doing something else.
Because the opportunity is not there. So you see, we have a lot of programs, but we, the people in the society, don't seem to be getting it right. That program, for instance, to the best of my knowledge, was being sponsored by individuals and private organizations, not even government. So why would those same people not program, not project, not sponsor more educational programs? You mentioned debate, for instance. You mentioned quiz. Okay, now for instance, let me mention this. Okay, let's say this from the angle of the government now. How much was the person who won the BB Niger shoe given? That's something you need to ponder. And then how much was the young person who got the highest score in JAM? How much was he given? Or was he actually given anything? And then the student that got the best results in the SSE, what was the level of attention that was given?
Mr. Alfred, I'll just quickly cut this. This present generation, I'm even myself. I must be very frank, and the audience, I'm going to say this live now. Having the best students in this modern age that we are, the best in WAEC or WASI or NECO or JAM, to me, I wouldn't see that as being truthful. In the sense, we know what is going on in the present day in Nigeria, the level of examination malpractice. And then I'll probably suggest is that should you have the best in WAS or the best in JAM, it should be, the person ought to be invited, and then probably have a chat with the person to ascertain if.
I think that's exactly what they do.
Oh, that's great.
No, why can't just say
I don't know.
why can't we just say you have the best result and then you have a gift? No. I think they would usually do that. This is Nigeria. We don't just hand out money like that, especially when it comes to things that are really worthwhile.
Okay, I don't know about it.
They would obviously have to bring in the person. How did you make it? And when there's a good amount of times when these people come up, defend these things, how much eventually do they go home with? Now you are now telling me that
they give them scholarship.
How much is the scholarship? It's not just telling us scholarship. How much? And
or through masters.
How much is the person who came up the winner of the famous baby Nigeria? I'm not against anybody.
If you were to be given a scholarship from your undergraduate to your masters, you are put in a dilemma, like 70 million or a scholarship from your university from undergraduate to your master. Which will you go for? 70 million or scholarship?
I didn't get that actually.
You are asked, okay, to choose.
Okay.
The dilemma now.
Okay.
Okay. You're torn between two options: taking a scholarship from your undergraduate down to your masters, or PhD, whatsoever the length you want to go. Let's say PhD being the highest, and then instead of that, you're also okay. If you don't want that, you can go for 70 million. Which will you go for?
I would love to have that offer first.
No,
let me have it first. No. Let me have it first. Because I can't. You said it's a dilemma.
Yeah.
To me, it's not a dilemma because I haven't seen it coming.
Mr. Alfred,
I haven't seen it coming. I can't see it coming actually.
Should I be objective? As regard the Big Brother show, I don't have any issue with it. You know why I said
I don't too.
You know I don't
think I do too.
There are individuals that sponsor that, not the government. What I'm actually after is this: if a government wants the citizen to behave in a specific way, in a special way, they form the society, they form the enabling environment. That's why I keep saying that what structure one's personality is the society. You look at Richard Wright, for example, the character.
You are right.
Character Bigger. You look at every non-African writer. They keep bringing out, showing us that it is the society that determines at least 80%. No, I don't talk about what am I even saying. 90%. The other 10% are determined 5% by your parent, and then the other one by your involvement with people. You see that? But society provides the high. So my take is, why can't we have competition, sponsored competition from the elementary level? We are talking about the community schools. From the community school, from the local government junction. Let's have these people, let's do quiz. Start monitoring the students. Oh, these ones are coming up. Monitor them from elementary, from community. You look at them down to their institution. By the time they know they are being monitored and they are being mentored, you find out that they will be eager not to disappoint. And before you know it, you keep having people, producing people that can produce and that have this zeal to make good out of their life.
That certainly will happen. It will happen, but it will only start happening when we reprioritize our values.
And that's why I asked that question, because an average Nigeria will go for 70 million. So and they will tell you, what will I use the PhD to do? And they will cite examples that we have PhD holders struggling to get a driving job in a Dangote's refinery. And then you can imagine
and they have a point. That's exactly why I said, let me even get it first. Let me get the offer first, because
quickly, on primary health centers in your local government, how do you rate it? Is it something working or not working, or they are just there for the names, and some probably have been covered with bush?
The question is, how many people go there? Because a lot of citizens have been so discouraged. that even when they have pressing issues, they prefer to go to private hospitals. So it's even, that's the question is how many people. You discover that unfortunately the people that will go there are the people who don't have the means. And a good number of people who don't really have much of the means.
And they're going over to the private hospital. It has also made the private hospital to a sort of kind of downgrading at times of in terms of their levels. And I begin to see that there are some private, depending on your financial abilities. You have some private ones that you can go for 10, like 100 naira, like 50 naira. And then you begin to say, are they going to offer good health there? But you can't blame these people. Who is responsible again? Society. You see?
The society.
Society is responsible for this. It's responsible for this. Mr. Alfred, we'll take it, we'll end it here, and then God's willing, God's willing, we'll look at the next series of it, which probably be coming up in 2 weeks' time, and then we'll have a local government personnel that will be on set with us, and then we also, because we are more, we want to start from the elementary, because we can't just face the federal without looking at the dam, the
charity begins at home. Exactly.
And Exodus talk is about the beginning, so we begin from the beginning before we get to viewers. Thank you for listening to today's concluding part of the Nigeria we see today. This is series 1, because we have a lot to discuss as we unveil issues that form the nation Nigeria we live today. It's our country, we have nowhere to go. You might have a place to go, but we don't have a place to go. And that's why we are playing our own part in creating awareness in you, all youth all over. Please share this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's an awareness. We want to change the mentality of our youth and let them know that we can take this country lawfully and then we'll turn it into what we want it to be, so that the blood of our colleague on Lekki Toge, thank you, will not be in vain. We owe it to them to make Nigeria great, and we shall make Nigeria great. Mr. African Nigeria, automatically fear.